Welcome everyone to Enlightened Masculinity. This is IMC TV show broadcast, also my Enlightened Masculinity podcast. You can see it on all of, I got lipstick on my cheek. Do I? Well, that's called pre-selection. So yeah, good for that. So Nadia's on the YouTube. So this is Enlightened Masculinity podcast. It goes on all the podcast platforms, Apple, also YouTube, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, Podbean, yada, yada, yada. So subscribe, like, leave a review and everything there. It's on IG Live right now. Oh, Iconi's on IG Live. Everybody's showing up. Dang. I just got to get Hannah to show up, but I don't really care. It's her loss. But she did see her first Michael Singer lecture. So she listened to some advice. Oh, I almost knocked this over. So good. Because that's an important language here. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So this episode I was going to say was Lessons in Game. And I was going to actually title it Interview with My Two Main Women. But then that was going to pour all kinds of pressure on them and they were going to not do that. But I'm still going to ask you questions. So get ready. Breathe. Are you breathing? Good. Okay, so this is a very exciting episode. That's why all the guys should have showed up. The guys are interesting, man. They're so egotistical, myself included. But I, gradually over time, I keep eroding this. Hey, that's cool. Keep eroding this sense of like this little I. It's called the little me. That when I feel resistance, it's becoming more physical to me. Like I feel there's almost like, it's almost like when you see, if you're like looking at a hot highway, like an asphalt, and you see like the waves coming up, that's kind of what it feels like to me. It feels like there's waves between me and a person that's like inhibiting. It's like distortions. Whereas when we're in good communication, it's just totally clear. It's just like empty space between me and the person. Versus this other thing, which L. Ron Hubbard calls ridges, energetic ridges, which have to do with like psychology. And you're saying something. It's not quite like an engram or being stimulated. It's just like, you could almost think of it as locks or just things that you don't like to hear. And it's like, which, it doesn't always have to be what the person says. It's your interpretation of it. So I just see I'm seeing these physical or energetic manifestations of ridges between me and people. And I know that it's kind of like in a fight or in an argument or in a conversation or in a tennis match, it takes two to play. So if I correct myself, then there cannot be the ridge. Like I can modify myself so that the ridge doesn't exist. It exists because I, as a small ego, is confronting another small ego and we're not resonating. So there's like these ridges. So this is very interesting. I don't know how I got on that. So these guys, man, they all want game, but they don't. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking in their head. Whatever. They'll learn as they learn. It's a difficult thing to admit one is wrong, and a man's sexual agenda, his mating agenda, even relationships, marriage, whatever, that's his sex agenda. I had this whole movie play in my head the other day that was like some married woman that's at yoga. It's a movie, so this didn't happen. But it'd be like some married woman at yoga, because it's a kind of common objection that women would have, like that she wouldn't be with a man that was with other women, and she thinks that she's the prize. And it's like, what is the prize about you? Well, it's this and that and this and that, but basically it's like sex with me as the woman, I'm the prize. And it's like, well, okay, so so what if that's the prize, then how is it replaceable? Well, maybe not sex with you, but sex, a lot of guys will tell you, like, sex feels similar. It doesn't really matter which girl it is. The connection is something more psychological and emotional with that person, how the person treats you. But the inside of a vagina feels pretty much the same. And that is replaceable. So how is that the prize? That's only the prize if he has cut off other women and you're the only access that he has to that. Then yours is the prize. But to a man that gets other women, he is the prize, because it doesn't make sense that all the women are prizes. If they're all the prizes and he's not the prize, then like it doesn't work out. That's like somebody showing up to a tournament and everybody gets a trophy. Like they're not, just by showing up to the tournament, you don't get the prize. The prize is winning. And anyway, I'm not explaining this vision that I had very well, but it's something, I don't want to get into it. It has to do with men are dangerous and women are, they are exchanging their sexuality, their intimacy, their nurturance, their femininity for what the man provides for them. And for a lot of women, what the man is providing is money. It's financial security. Here's a house. Here's some insurance. Here's things like that. Maybe providing some level of guidance, but that guidance is going to kind of erode away over time because, she's nagging at him and he doesn't want to guide her. And she's throwing up objections and not really listening to his advice and just arguing with him about it. So he doesn't want to guide her anymore. Maybe she doesn't appreciate his guidance. And in all honesty, his guidance is probably not that enriching. It's not that good, but it's better than if she was guiding herself. And so the woman all things are in exchange. So she's exchanging what she has innately for something that he is exchanging also, which may or may not be innate. Like if he makes money and he's exchanging for that, then that's not innate. He wasn't born with the money. He had to work and earn it. Like if he's exchanging, like in my case, I'm exchanging character, I'm exchanging personality and guidance, the leadership and philosophy. And I wasn't born with it. So, and it's not that she was necessarily born with all of her charms. I mean, she was born with the hardware, but she needed the software. She needed how to present herself and how to communicate. And so that exchange, I was just basically the vision. I'm not painting a good picture, but the vision was basically how marriage, and the woman is not secure with him being with other women because she'll lose her financial, she'll lose a sense of stability that she gets from him committing all his resources to her in exchange for exclusive access to her sexuality, which sounds a bit like prostitution. And that's what modern marriage is I will give you myself exclusively if you commit yourself and your resources to me. And it's that exchange. And it's like, put on paper, I could write it down very dryly and it would be, okay, resources and money for sex. And that's marriage. But they would knock on a woman that chooses a man that has other women because that she's not being provided for in the same way, or it's not the same sense of security. And what you don't get is that the personality and qualities of a man that gets multiple women, there's something there that's not available to the woman and other men. A certain sense of awareness, especially about her psychology, about what her needs are, her wants are, how to communicate with her. And that may not seem like such a big deal until, correct me if I'm wrong, it's just not that available. A man like me. Good communication. Like, just think of okay, so let's get into this actually, because that wasn't that good of an intro, but fuck it, it doesn't matter. Because the people that are here watching, they watch because they like what I have to say. Anyway, people who watch the recordings, it's fine. So I am curious. I don't know how to start. I don't know how to frame the question. So I'll just ask. I have two beautiful, loyal, ethically clean women who are in the process of becoming even more beautiful, even more ethical, even more clean, even more smart, even better communicators, but they're far ahead of all the other women that are around me. And really all the other women I deal with, because there are a lot of women that aren't necessarily around me, but I deal with. All the women at the grocery store, all the women at yoga, all the women in the modeling. Is there any other women? All the women on my Instagram, they're just terrible communicators. The more they interact with me, the better they get. Because I don't accept the same bullshit that other people in their life are accepting. Indirect communication and not saying what you mean, and slight passive aggressiveness over hostility that is, whoa, how does this mic keep turning on? Okay. So anyway, I'm curious from your perspective. I don't know where to start, so it's going to be a very general start, just super general. Like, what are some things? It's going to sound so general. What are some things that fuck it. What are some things that you've learned from being with me about yourself, or what are some things that you've noticed that are different? I mean, I don't want you to think about other guys, so fuck that question. But like, what are some things that would be surprising to an outsider if you were talking, like maybe mom or another woman was asking, like, what are some things that are maybe surprisingly good? Like they wouldn't realize that it's this good looking from the outside. They don't understand. Does that make sense? Is that a tangible question? All right, how about this? What are some things that you appreciate about being with me? Kat, go first. Okay, Megan, go first.
I think what I appreciate most is your patience with me, your ability to allow me to open up at my own pace and then help me work through any walls that I find within myself that I hit. That's probably like the biggest thing. You're really nice.
Really nice. I love hearing how nice I am. I'm like the
You're
sweetest.
You're really kind.
I'm super kind and nice, right, Kat? I'm like the kindest.
But you can also be stern when you need to be stern, and I like being corrected because it brings my reality to my face, and I can face it, and you help me work through that.
So that's so interesting. I've heard girls say that, like the lady that lived downstairs that I got the comforter from, and she was like, I ran a strip club for 34 years, and she's talking about she likes a manly man, a dominant man. The man that her husband's right there, and he's a big man, but he's so soft spoken, he barely said a word, and he's kind of looking down. It's like, that man, I'm like hearing what she's saying, and I'm like, is he really dominant? Like, and she was like, I like my man telling me what to do, like him. And then she points to him and is talking about, like, you know, and I don't know what kind of relationship they have. It's something I've heard women say, like, I like, not all women, it's, you know, probably less than half, but I've heard it many times that a woman says, you know, I like my man telling me what to do, or what have you. You know, or I like being corrected. The thing is that it is from where the correction is coming from and from whom the correction is coming from, because any old Joe Schmo correcting you, you would hate that. You wouldn't want to be corrected. And even me in the beginning, let's say when you first met me, I wouldn't have been able to correct even if I was aware of the same correction. I wouldn't be able to say the same correction because I meant less to you. I was basically a stranger in the very beginning. And so it's a very interesting thing to say, you know, because there's something underlying your appreciation of any correction I give you is a trust for me. It's a trust in my guidance, that I'm not ignorantly or dumbly giving you advice just because I want to be right or something. I'm sure that happens sometimes, but there's a trust and a faith in my wisdom and experience that the guidance or the correction is the intention is to make you better, and not better for the world or better for the next man, better for me and better for our life. Because that's why would I care? Like, I let things go that don't seem to have significance in my life. And if I feel like there's significance in my life, then I come in with some correction. And like the guys told me the other day, like they told me like a few weeks ago it was an officers meeting. And a few days before, I got into like this text battle with one of my housemates that at some point I said, fuck you. Like, which is not something I say to the guys. Like, you know, that's like, you're about to cut ties, but I live with the guys. So like, it was just like, and it was going back and forth, and then it came up on officers meeting, and you know, whatever. One of the things that happened was I allowed myself to receive the feedback that sometimes when I correct them, I'm real sharp and real fast, and I just kind of swoop in like an eagle and just boom, just like hit them with some fucking correction. And what I told them is, it's like, they don't realize. I was like, you don't realize how patient I have been before I do that. Like, I've waited and waited and waited, and then I came in with the correction when it was just like too much to bear. But I was receiving that. I was, you know, because also the goal of the correction is that it is received. And so if it is communicated in a way that it's not received, then it just creates more hassle for me, more frustration. And that's not what I want. So, and there's the balancing act. There's the scale of like, well, I spend so much time calibrating my correction so it's well received that I'm also wasting time. And then there's being so careless with my correction that I lose the follower, I lose the relationship or the friendship. And that's also a loss of energy. So there's somewhere in between where it's like, and that's the evolution. That's where there's levels to this thing. You can't just be put in the place of president of the United States and communicate the same way you do now. There's now, I mean, you could, the Illuminati could put you there, but let's say you earn a position by merit, that you change your communication as you move up the ladder in power, because the same style of communicating as a janitor is not the same as a CEO. Even if they have the same vocabulary somehow, they have to communicate differently with different understanding, sensitivity, awareness of the people. So that's what multiple relationships, it's like, you got to be so sensitive and aware, but not too sensitive where I'm like sissy, but like somehow I have to be masculine, aggressive, macho, but sensitive, patient, calm, tranquil. It's like, whoa. And that, I mean, these are my words on it. So I was asking you girls question. So I just want, go ahead.
I would say,
By the way, your mural is in my Instagram background. Yes, you're famous now. Everybody's watching.
so I think the biggest things for me.
You guys should know that my girl has a mural. She has 2 murals of me in her cell. 3 if you count that one, but that's not a direct picture. That is what would you call that? Not obsession, although it is, but it is devotion. And that's what that image is. That's devotion. Okay, so go ahead.
So the first
Giant murals. They're like 6 by 4 feet. Okay, I'll stop interrupting.
I have 3 things I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is like the knowledge that you have and like embodied since I've met you, that you've passed to me to completely transform my own life. I think that isn't.
So the knowledge has been transformative.
Yeah, and I think like just being in your presence with the tough love, I think Megan kind of mentioned it. I think she did say nice, but I think for me,
you have said that too, by the way. Sometimes you'll laugh and like, you're so nice, like you do this thing.
Others.
Oh, okay.
Then the second one is just your possessiveness. I think like it might be one that other people may not understand.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's something that girls, they split on.
So my take is just given my own story and things that I've been through in my life, I just feel ultra protected, because just interacting with, like, my view on interacting with males is it just totally disgusts me. So just sharing that value with you and feeling so protected. I mean, like, that's bar none, like, one of the, like, it even makes me tear up because it honestly has just lifted a huge weight off my shoulders.
And why is that? So what I'm hearing is my possessiveness and hard love has lifted a weight off of your shoulders, especially in regards to other men.
Yeah, because like it's aligned with my own view of like most in society. Like I feel like it would just be acceptable. Like you should like that man. You should be nice to him.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
He's your friend.
I think we've talked about this before, where it was like, so probably both of these girls, but especially you, just detests other men, just like detests them. And you, there are women watching right now. There's a bunch of people watching. You may not experience that, and I think upon deeper inspection, calmness, conversation with me, you'll probably find that you do, and you're just putting up with it. But so she has come to the conscious realization at the forefront of her mind that she really thinks men are disgusting, all men. Like she has respect and love for her father, and that's about it. Yeah. Is there any maybe some other male relative, maybe, but like, yeah. So that's it. So dad and me, and so that's so interesting because society, feminist, communist, sexualized, pedophilic society would push on her and every other woman that you should be friends with guys, that you should be okay interacting. You should try to make it in a man's world. You should live in the man's world, be of the men, and learn how to navigate that.
Be the best realtor.
Be the best realtors are hoes. Real estate girls are hoes. That's just what it is. Like it's a running joke in IMC Nation, actually. We talk about it all the time because there's a lot of real estate agent guys, and a lot of them have interacted with a lot of real estate agent girls. They're all hoes. You could not succeed as a female real estate agent without being a hoe. Now, maybe you're not exactly selling your sex, probably has, but what are you do? How you get ahead as a saleswoman is by your sexuality, because you're not a better salesperson than a man. You may be better than some men. Of course, there's some women that are faster runners than some men. There are some women who are stronger lifters than some men. I don't know if you would call those men. I mean, not counting, disabled people, whatever, injured, but you'll find, I mean, it's true. There's a woman that was at Bikram yoga yesterday, doesn't have a leg from the knee down. And she was doing all the poses sitting. She's doing like side bend and whatever. And I was just like, looking, I was like, that's dope. She was in the class after me. There's a guy at Bikram yoga who's paralyzed from the waist down. And I think he got shot or something. And he's over there, he's doing all the standing poses on his back. And I'm just like, man, I can't even complain about being thirsty or hungry or anything in class, anyway. So, a woman she's getting ahead from the advantage she gets from men desiring her. Anyway, what? Oh, third thing. Okay. What was the first two?
The first one was the knowledge.
The knowledge.
The possessiveness and the safety.
Possessiveness, which is a behavior. The knowledge is information gained from study, lots of study. I'm 36. I've been studying for a long time. I was in university at 18 until 30 straight. And I have 3 degrees and a PhD in science. And, and then I started studying philosophy at like 28 or something. And now I'm 36. So 8 years of philosophy now, overlapping with that. It's just nonstop, go ahead.
So the third thing is that, and I think this is something that I don't think I've ever heard anyone else say, but as the love and the ability to be feminine with you and feel so safe in this relationship dynamic with you, it opens up new levels of well-being, like both in the physical strength, that
would be really surprising to women.
Yeah, like the beauty, my muscles have transformed, my joints from arthritis to like perfect health.
Dang, I remember that when you were first coming around. You got the joints were not good.
Yeah. And so also that, but also returning to my natural state of beauty, not even just with the glam, but
and a femininity. It's the femininity. We have polarized in our relationship. Instead of being closer to being equal or more similar, I am masculine, and to be around me, you must be feminine. And by embodying that energy, it expresses through glam, beauty, self-care, feminine activities, cooking, cleaning, and decorating. And it's like, you are master of the house, and here is your house. And when you come over, I want you to have more authority over my room as far as the ornamentation of it and the alignment of it and the aesthetics of it, and even my wardrobe and whatever. I mean, I ultimately have a say over that, but those things, I want to pass responsibility onto you. So there's this division of roles instead of us both having the same role. And then there's less power in the group. There's more power when there's the division. And so by polarizing, it's I see this natural, men genetically are naturally very aggressive. Like when they're boys, they play war, they play fight, they play battle, they play death and destruction and racing and competing. And that's what boys do. And then somehow that diminishes and they become less and less competitive as their estrogen levels go up and their testosterone levels go down because of the food and the water and the air and the TV and the mind control and all of that stuff and the vaccines. But genetically, until something has been modified, officially, genetically, they still have that innate competitiveness and aggressiveness. And when put in the proper environment, that will flower. Put them in a Muay Thai academy or Jiu-Jitsu academy and watch their masculinity come out. To survive, it will, but they'll like it. I mean, some guys, they won't, and they may be too far gone, and they may be sissies, and they were probably coddled by a single mother, and they, similar with a woman. Put her in a certain environment that is conducive to feminine expressiveness, which would be you don't have to interact with men, safe space where you have ultimate authority. Nobody can come in here without you, and you have muscle that is like, you know, your bodyguard and your security. And it's like, so you start to gain ownership of your space. Whereas women in the world, they think they do, but they don't. They don't have ownership of the space because guys can enter their space too easily and they accept it. They put themselves in situations that they don't like and they accept it. What?
Like yesterday, we were in the vehicle and again, just two girls in the car. When I'm alone, everything's fine. But this worker in a truck next to us was just looking at Megan, and he just like took the visor and like slammed it against her window. Duh! And it became invisible. But not needing to have such frustration, but like still, they're literally looking everywhere.
Yeah, they're thirsty, hungry, and perverted, and they have, you know, to some degree they're unconscious of what they're doing, and to some degree, if I was to sit down and talk with them and they felt safe enough to divulge to me what they were thinking and doing, that's their strategy. That's their strategy to get attention. Yeah, because what if you look back and then they wave? And then if you ever meet later, then you have some rapport. I mean, it's a strategy. You know, like I said, they're mostly unconscious of it, but you know, it has been so enriching to study mating psychology in humans because I've become aware of my own patterns. It's not like I've never done that. I came from being a normie. I did all of those things. And like I said, if on Silent Flute, a year ago, I was ignorant to what I know now in some things. 10 years from now, I would look back on when I was 36 and be like, I was so ignorant of this or that. And so I'm continuing to evolve, but what are you doing? Okay, cover your boobies when you do that. Who knows? There might be a guy walking by down there.
You're right.
Yeah,
Right.
Jesus.
Totally right.
Yeah, I'm fucking right.
Cover up in here now.
You don't got to cover up in here, but you know, Jesus. I have picked up chicks from doing that. Okay. All right. So I want to wrap it up. I mean, there's more to be said. I didn't really prepare you girls for like, you know, saying what you were going to say, but that's pretty good. I feel like I didn't wrap up the last point. Remember what I was saying? Yeah, the strategy, the guide. Yes. So yeah, minus the hostility, because it's not so much for the guy that's staring or for anybody but yourself, because when you get angry, you have the anger in you. The anger is meant to motivate, as an emotion, is meant to motivate you to change what's going on. Anger makes you change the variables that are going on. But animals in nature, they just shake it off and then they're done with it. And we don't do that so well because we just hold on to the images and we keep reacting to the images. So it poisons the system to be too reactive. It's okay as long as you let it go. So, you know, you turn the visor, there's anger at such a creep, whatever. Good. You become more aware. You notice it sooner. And yeah, no apology. That is also, I think, part of your femininity that has been able to blossom is no apology in being rude or mean to guys. Like you don't want to put yourself in danger where you create a sort of enemy, because some guys, they will attack back. You're not looking to fight with guys, but there's no need to nicely, politely, you know, unless then there's contextual. Like I said, the janitor can't communicate like the CEO. So if we ever went to the White House and you went with me to the White House, I wouldn't expect you to be rude to some guy that was trying to make friends with you or whatever. You just, there's calibration. There's ways to turn the cold shoulder or to not express interest or to even communicate professionally like you would with someone at work, because it's my work, you know? So there's a calibration, but there, you know, and there's an awareness, but there's no need to really be overly nice to guys or to care about their opinion or to care about their feelings. You don't need to care about especially strangers or out in public or whatever. And I think when a woman, what I've noticed in YouTube and what I've noticed in other girls in the past, like I said, Angelica and Julie, and even Vanessa to some degree, she was learning, she was getting it to some degree. And your confidence and your certainty in yourself and in your own space, something that's probably been violated so much growing up, your space. And to be able to, it's like the guys, when we first start to learn that we can tell people to fuck off, that we don't have to be good little boys, that we don't have to respect haters and start explaining ourselves. We can just tell them to fuck off. Like, we don't have to be nice to girls that are disrespectful to us. You can tell them to fuck off. When we first learn to do that, we go too far. Because it's like we've been caged all our life being mama's boys, and now we can tell a bitch to fuck off, and we start saying bitch fuck off all everywhere, and we're yelling it, and it's like totally uncalibrated. And it's like the pendulum has swung the other way, and it's like there's calibration somewhere in between. That is, you still have all those boundaries and your standards and whatever and your values, but you're also still
me who lived through the whole year of the BF off. Sorry, just
well, like I was telling you, Julie got it worse, and Angelica got it even worse.
it's your life.
That is the trophy. The trophy is that you survived. See, if you didn't survive, then you'd be off in the world complaining about that toxic man that was too aggressive with me, and you would be a loser.
I don't feel that way, even despite everything.
I know you don't feel that way because you wouldn't be able to exist with me if you actually held those thoughts. But I don't doubt that Angelica and Julie expressed those thoughts, that he was too toxic, dangerous, and they're miserable. They are losing. Vanessa is losing. You know, as long as you're with me, you'll be winning because I keep winning. So that's, yeah, okay. All right, heart hands coming through. I'm going to end it now, guys. So just remember that when you're watching other IMTV shows, when you're watching anybody's podcast, when you're watching anything on relationships or seduction or anything like that, take it from a man who's actually doing it. All right? Take everything else with a grain of salt from other people. Jay Guru Dev. Os.